The movie begins by showing a peaceful moment between a father and his son as they spend time fishing by the river. When Cale finally catches a huge fish, his father Daniel excitedly cheers him on. But because Cale gets too excited and rushes the moment, he accidentally ruins his own celebration.
Got it, baby. Come on. Okay, reeling in slow. Nice and slow. Hold in. Up.
Even so, Daniel feels genuinely happy because his son would rather spend time with him than wander around aimlessly with his friends. On the way home, Cale calls his mother and happily tells her that they are bringing home fish for dinner. But their happy moment suddenly turns into tragedy when a reckless driver speeds past them on the road. The dangerous overtake causes a terrible accident. And from that moment on, Cale is forced to accept the heartbreaking reality that his father is gone. This is where everything changed. This is Disturbia. A year later, the story shifts to Cale's high school life. In Spanish class, an eccentric student named Ronnie struggles through a speaking test while the teacher, Mr. Rivera, becomes irritated after noticing Cale asleep in class. The moment Cale wakes up, Mr. Rivera immediately puts him on the spot and tests his Spanish skills. Considering Cale acts like he knows everything, the teacher expects him to perform well. Unfortunately, Cale completely fails the test, and it turns out he has not even finished his assignments. Mr. Rivera then mocks him, saying he is guaranteed to fail the class. He even brings up Cale's late father, saying he feels sorry that Daniel had such a disappointing son. Hearing his father insulted instantly pushes Cale over the edge, and in a burst of anger, he violently attacks the teacher. Not long after, Cale is brought to court and receives a 3-month suspension along with house arrest as part of his punishment. Meanwhile, the badly beaten Mr. Rivera seems completely satisfied with the outcome. Once Cale returns home, a female detective named Viola explains the rules of his sentence. The device attached to his ankle is a distance monitor that tracks his movements. If he goes more than 100 feet away from the house, the alarm activates automatically. And if he fails to return to the safe zone within 10 seconds, the police will immediately be notified. Trying to remove it by force would also trigger the system. After explaining everything, Viola asks Cale's mother Julie to sign several documents. At the same time, Cale becomes annoyed when he notices one of the officers monitoring him is Jose, who also happens to be Mr. Rivera's brother. As time passes, Cale tries to survive house arrest by distracting himself with video games and television. But his mother quickly shuts that down by cutting off the internet and gaming services to save money. She reminds him that house arrest is supposed to teach him responsibility, not give him an excuse to be lazy all day. Frustrated by her son's behavior, Julie finally snaps. After watching him spend his days doing nothing but eating, sleeping, and wasting time, she cuts the antenna cable and forces Cale to start cleaning up the house instead. A few days later, Cale suddenly finds himself in a much better mood after spotting his new neighbors moving in next door. Not long after, the doorbell rings. But when Cale opens the door, he finds a bag of burning dog poop sitting right outside his house, thanks to a prank from a group of neighborhood kids. Already frustrated with his situation, Cale completely loses his temper and chases after the kids, ready to beat them up. But in the middle of the street, he suddenly hears the alarm from his ankle monitor starting to activate. Realizing he only has seconds left, Cale immediately sprints back home and barely makes it into the safe zone before the system can notify the police. Unfortunately, his problems are far from over. Even though Cale returns in time, Officer Jose still shows up to inspect the situation and treats him like a dangerous criminal. Not long after that, Cale intentionally tests the boundaries of his restricted area again, which immediately earns him another warning from his mother. If he keeps breaking the rules, he could end up back in court with an even harsher punishment. Not wanting that to happen, Cale starts carefully measuring the limits of his safe zone and marks the boundaries around the yard so he knows exactly how far he can go. As time passes, Cale slowly begins to feel excited about life again, mostly because of the girl next door. He spends more and more time spying on the neighbors through his binoculars, turning their daily lives into his new source of entertainment. A few days later, Ronnie comes by to visit him, and Cale quickly brings him upstairs to show off his new hobby. During house arrest, he has been secretly observing everyone in the neighborhood and keeping track of all their routines through his binoculars. And of course, the main attraction is the gorgeous neighbor girl, especially whenever she goes swimming. Later that night, Cale watches a news report about a missing woman. According to the investigation, the suspect was seen driving a Mustang with a damaged left bumper. After hearing that detail, Cale goes back to spying on the neighborhood out of boredom. But while watching the girl next door, he realizes her home life is actually pretty depressing, since her father constantly yells at her. Hours later, Cale suddenly gets distracted after hearing the sound of a Mustang arriving nearby. The moment he sees the car, his expression changes completely. The Mustang belonging to his neighbor looks almost identical to the vehicle connected to the kidnapping case on the news. Not long after that, Ronnie mentions that the entire neighborhood has been shaken by the recent disappearance of a restaurant waitress who was last seen meeting a mysterious man. But instead of paying attention, Cale is too busy spying on the girl next door. He notices her sitting alone on the roof while her parents argue inside the house. Then, almost instantly, both Cale and Ronnie become completely focused again the moment they realize she is about to go swimming. Unfortunately, Ronnie keeps acting reckless and nearly gets them caught several times, which seriously irritates Cale.
This is for the gold. Oh, God.
Things only get worse when the girl suddenly seems suspicious of Cale's bedroom window. Moments later, the doorbell rings, and Cale immediately panics. Sure enough, the girl herself has come over to confront them. But instead of causing trouble, the girl, whose name is Ashley, casually asks if she can hang out because she is bored. Once inside the house, she quickly notices Cale's binoculars and starts getting curious. Caught off guard, Ronnie quickly explains that the binoculars are being used to spy on their neighbor, who they suspect might be a psychopath connected to the crimes from the news reports. Cale backs up the story, pointing out that the neighbor's Mustang perfectly matches the description of the suspect's car. However, when Ashley takes a look herself, she notices that the Mustang no longer has the damaged bumper. That immediately confuses Cale, but then he realizes the dent may have already been repaired. Instead of getting scared, Ashley actually becomes interested in the whole investigation and decides she wants to help. Before long, the three of them start preparing equipment for their little spying operation. That night, they begin watching the neighbor closely. But things become confusing when the man arrives home in a bright yellow sports car while bringing along a blonde woman. Believing something suspicious is about to happen, they carefully continue spying on him. Then the tension suddenly spikes when the man grabs a knife and slowly approaches the woman he brought home. For a moment, the three teenagers are convinced they are about to witness a murder. But in the end, it turns out to be nothing more than part of the man's disturbing sexual behavior. Right in the middle of the surveillance, Ashley gets a call from her mother and is told to come home immediately. As Cale walks her back, he can only escort her as far as the yard because he is terrified of triggering his ankle monitor and getting caught by the police. As they spend more time together, feelings slowly begin to grow between them. Later that night, after returning to his room, Cale notices that the blonde woman suddenly looks terrified and appears to be trying to escape from the neighbor's house. In a panic, Cale accidentally turns on his camera flash while spying on them. Realizing what he just did, he quickly checks the window, only to freeze in shock after discovering that the neighbor is already staring directly back at him. Still in shock, Cale immediately calls Ronnie and tells him everything he just witnessed. But only moments later, he becomes confused after seeing the blonde woman casually leave the house unharmed. That leaves Cale wondering if the neighbor already realized he was being watched. The next morning, Cale heads downstairs for breakfast, only to freeze in disbelief after discovering the suspicious neighbor sitting inside his own house. A moment later, Julie explains that the man, whose name is Turner, had helped her change a flat tire at Walmart earlier that day. Wanting to thank him, she invited him over to the house. After hearing that, Cale becomes even more nervous and quickly retreats to his room. If Turner really is a psychopath, then his mother could be in serious danger. Not long after, Ashley arrives, and Cale immediately tells her that Turner was just inside his house and is now getting close to his mother. Ashley warns Cale to be careful because there is a chance Turner could be targeting Julie next. Worried that something terrible might happen, the two of them decide to dig even deeper into their investigation. But before they continue, Ashley mentions that she is throwing a party later that night and needs some time for herself first. That evening, Cale is stuck at home watching the party from a distance, while everyone else enjoys themselves. But his mood quickly changes when he sees another guy getting close to Ashley. Jealous and frustrated, Cale sets up a giant speaker on his roof and starts blasting loud music to ruin the party. The stunt immediately annoys Ashley so much that she climbs straight into Cale's room and grabs his Walkman, threatening to destroy it if he does not stop causing problems. Just as the Walkman is about to be destroyed, Cale finally admits the truth. He confesses that he cannot stand seeing Ashley with another guy because she is the only person who has made his life feel meaningful again since his father died. Hearing that completely changes Ashley's attitude, and before long, she kisses him. But while the two are caught up in the moment, something horrifying is happening next door. Blood suddenly appears on the neighbor's window, and when they look through the binoculars, they are horrified to see Turner seemingly dragging what looks like a human body wrapped inside a bloody tarp bag. The next day, Cale and Ronnie work together to figure out the access code to Turner's garage. Meanwhile, Ashley is assigned to keep an eye on Turner at Walmart and make sure he does not suddenly head back home. While Ronnie is sneaking around the car, Ashley suddenly calls and says she has lost track of Turner. Panic immediately sets in, and Cale urges Ronnie to hurry before Turner returns. Things get even more disturbing when Turner suddenly confronts Ashley and forces his way into her car while demanding her phone. At that moment, Ashley realizes something terrifying. Turner has known all along that she has been spying on him. He then warns her to tell her friends to stop investigating him immediately. Otherwise, all of them are going to regret it. The intimidation leaves Ashley completely shaken, and it becomes painfully clear that Turner is far more dangerous than they originally thought. After that encounter, Cale and Ashley decide they should finally contact the police because Cale is convinced Turner has been hiding something horrible inside his house. Still frightened by what happened, Ashley begs them to stop spying on Turner before things get even worse. But later that night, Cale refuses to give up. Determined to uncover the truth, he starts building surveillance equipment that can be used to spy inside Turner's house, including a small camera connected directly to his computer. Just after setting everything up, he hears someone arriving outside. When he checks, he discovers a panicked Ronnie standing there. During the earlier mission, Ronnie accidentally left his phone inside Turner's car. Trying to calm him down, Cale explains that retrieving the phone should be possible now because he has successfully built a remote device to open Turner's garage. So in the middle of the night, Ronnie sneaks into the garage carrying the surveillance camera. Once inside, Ronnie immediately notices a horrible smell. After digging through the car for a while, he finally finds his missing phone and feels relieved. But just before leaving, he stumbles across a bloody package hidden nearby. At the exact same moment, Cale suddenly panics after seeing the garage door begin to close on its own. That can only mean one thing. Turner knows somebody is inside the house. Realizing Ronnie is in danger, Cale ignores the warnings from his ankle monitor and rushes out of his safe zone while carrying a baseball bat. He runs straight toward Turner's house to save his friend. But just as he reaches the front door, the alarm on his ankle monitor activates and automatically alerts the police. Seeing this as his chance, Cale desperately tells the officers that Turner is a psychopath and claims there is a dead body rotting inside the garage. The police immediately search the garage, but the truth turns out to be far less convincing. The terrible smell and bloody remains actually come from a dead deer that Turner accidentally hit with his car and had not buried yet. After hearing Turner's explanation, the officers decide there is no evidence of any crime. Instead, they focus on punishing Cale for violating the terms of his house arrest. Not long afterward, Julie becomes extremely disappointed in her son once again. She cannot believe Cale falsely accused Turner of being a psychopath and worries they could even get sued because of it. Julie then tells Cale to stop making up wild stories and decides to personally apologize to Turner herself. All Cale can do is watch in fear as his mother walks toward Turner's house alone. While anxiously waiting for his mother to come back, Cale suddenly panics after seeing Ronnie on the monitor, looking completely lifeless. For a brief moment, he thinks his friend has been killed. But then Cale notices that the background looks strangely familiar. When he opens the closet in his room, he discovers that Ronnie is actually alive and hiding inside. After escaping Turner's house, Ronnie stayed hidden because he was afraid the police would arrest him for trespassing if he showed himself. Even though Cale is annoyed by Ronnie's stupidity, his biggest concern now is his mother, who is still inside Turner's house. While Ronnie heads to the kitchen, Cale begins reviewing the footage recorded during the garage break-in. At the same time, Julie has already entered Turner's home to apologize. As Cale watches the footage more carefully, he suddenly freezes in horror after spotting the body of a dead woman accidentally captured on camera. And at that exact moment, Turner attacks Julie and knocks her unconscious. Before Cale can even react, Turner suddenly storms into the house and brutally knocks Ronnie out cold. He then charges straight toward Cale and attacks him as well. Luckily, Cale manages to dodge the assault, and the two begin violently fighting throughout the house until the struggle reaches the kitchen. Desperate to call for help, Cale decides to run outside his safe zone again, so the ankle monitor will alert the police. But before he can escape, Turner lands a powerful punch that completely stops him. After returning to Cale's room and grabbing the recorded evidence, Turner finally reveals the truth. At this point, he no longer cares about getting caught. His only goal now is to eliminate everyone who knows about his crimes before disappearing forever. Right in the middle of Turner's threats, Cale suddenly fights back. And thankfully, Ashley arrives just in time to help him. The two of them quickly lock themselves inside the bedroom and desperately try calling the police. But when the phone fails to work, Cale comes up with another idea. He decides to deliberately cross the boundary again, so the police will automatically be dispatched to the house. As Turner starts forcing his way into the room, Cale and Ashley leap out the bedroom window into the swimming pool below, instantly triggering the ankle monitor alarm. Once the alarm activates, Cale tells Ashley to go get help while he searches for his mother himself. Cale then sneaks into Turner's house and heads beneath the staircase, where he spots the dead woman from the recording. Terrified that his mother might still be trapped somewhere inside, Cale pushes deeper into the hidden area under the stairs. But what he discovers is even worse than he imagined. The body he saw was not the only victim. Completely horrified, Cale rushes through the rest of the house searching for Julie, while desperately waiting for the police to arrive. As he checks room after room, he eventually uncovers a secret chamber designed to look like some kind of twisted operating room. Meanwhile, outside, Jose arrives once again, still angry and eager to teach Cale another lesson for causing trouble. But the moment Jose enters Turner's house, Turner suddenly attacks him and kills him without hesitation.
Dispatch 13 Adam.
Meanwhile, Cale's search eventually leads him into a remodeled basement hidden beneath the house. But while carefully moving through the area, the weak floor beneath him suddenly collapses, causing him to fall into a horrifying pit filled with the decaying bodies of multiple women. Terrified and trapped in the darkness, Cale suddenly hears his mother's voice somewhere nearby. Despite the panic, he manages to find Julie and save her. But before they can escape, Turner returns and immediately attacks Cale, leading to one final brutal fight. This time, however, Cale is not alone. Working together, Cale and his mother finally overpower Turner and send the psychopath falling into the pit filled with his victims. At long last, Cale and Julie manage to escape the nightmare alive. The following day, after everything that happened, Cale is officially freed from his punishment because of his role in exposing Turner, the serial killer who had been terrorizing the neighborhood for so long. Once the detective leaves, Cale immediately goes to see Ashley. Not long afterward, Cale decides to get revenge on the annoying neighborhood kids who constantly prank him. After spying on them through his binoculars, he discovers they secretly watch adult videos in their room. So Cale calls their mother and exposes them, which results in the boys getting yelled at nonstop. At the same time, Ronnie, whose face is still swollen from the beating he took earlier, happily records the moment Cale and Ashley finally kiss. And with that, the movie comes to an end. So the moral of the story is never give a bored teenager binoculars, unlimited free time, and a crush next door, because somehow he will accidentally solve serial murders before finishing his homework.